I'm going to talk about what I call Hayabusa ferry. Now, for those of you who don't know, Suzuki make a motorcycle called the Suzuki Hayabusa, and at one point it was the world's fastest bike, production bike, and it was crazy cheap. I mean, it was like 20 grand. Even today it's like, they're on the third generation. It's 33 grand. This ferry is not about Suzuki Hayabusa or motorcycling, but years and years and years and years ago, one day I was thinking about the incredible reasonable price of the Suzuki Hayabusa in relation to what you get, and the unreasonable price of real estate prices and the contrast. And so I had hold on. An idea popped into my head, and it basically went like this. What would have happened if you were to buy a house in the countryside where the price difference between a house in the suburb or the city is ridiculous? The differential is huge. And then with the enormous amount of money you save, buy a Suzuki Hayabusa and commute in, buy a Hayabusa. And the basic idea is that the mode of transport enables you to get a massive discount on the mode of transport enables you to get a massive discount on your house price, on your real estate. And so this idea sort of went around and around, and it was the relationship between what mode of transport you use and where you live, and therefore the cost of living and the cost of the way in which you can make money or save money, in some cases make money, if you're prepared to use unorthodox methods of transport. So, in fact, this sort of applies to this here. As you notice, I don't live on an island, yet I commute every day onto an island. And this is what makes it possible. I mean, I could commute by car, but originally I started by car, but this is really where I live. I couldn't do this on a bike, a regular bicycle. It would be too much of a hassle. And car, I'd just get pack on the weight. So the idea is that if you're prepared to go to an unorthodox, radical mode of transportation, you can then purchase property at a massively discounted rate, because the vast majority of the population is not prepared to live there. Like that's why houses are cheap in some areas, because people just don't want to live there. Why don't they live there? It's because they don't work there and they don't want to. They're all using mode of transport. So the ideal situation is, and you see this across the board. So a good example of this, when in aviation, there was a standard. It was called ETOPS. I can't remember what it stood for, but the joke is it stood for engines turning or passengers swimming. And the premise was that before the mid '80s, you couldn't fly a twin-engine aircraft further away than 1 hour from the divert airfield, which meant that you couldn't, say, fly a twin-engine aircraft to Hawaii. So you couldn't fly the Jurassic Boeing 737 to Hawaii, and that's why the triple-engine aircraft existed. is the triple engine aircraft were cheaper. So, you know, the first generation jet aircraft were the 4-engine Boeing 707 and the Comet. And then you went to the triples, the 727, the 727, the Boeing, the Lockheed TriStar, and the DC-10, the McDonnell Douglas DC-10. And then in the 80s, Boeing came up with the 757 and the 767, and then the FAA changed the rules and they changed it to 3.5 hours. Now it's about 6 hours. You can fly in a twin-engine aircraft. Some aircraft are rated to fly 6 hours from a divert airfield. So the upshot of what happened is that in Hawaii, for example, when the triple-engine aircraft came out, they became the standard aircraft to fly to Hawaii, and they went into the Big Island. But then, once twin-engine aircraft came on the scene and they became certified to fly to Hawaii, they ended up going to the other islands, and you know, property prices started going up. And so, for example, to get to an island, generally you fly to the biggest island, and then you've got the hassle of going to the peripheral islands. So a good example is Rarotonga and basically Aditoki, which is like an island. It costs as much to go from New Zealand to Rarotonga than it does to go from Rarotonga, the main island, to Aditoki. So how does this help you? Well, basically, so I live in an island here, and one of the things that's happened is that there are people who bought on this island a long time ago, and I asked my boss, I said, when did it take off here? And he goes, basically when the fast ferry came along in 1991. And then I asked his uncle, who's much older, I said, well, when did it take off here? He goes, well, basically in 1971 when the hydrofoil, some guy ran a hydrofoil for 10 years, which sent him broke. And before that, there was like the old steam ferry. Probably took 2 hours to get here. Nobody was commuting here. So I had this house. So as I was saying, is that a long time ago, house prices here and property prices were incredibly cheap. But it was a 2-hour journey just to get here. And this applies the changes in transportation. So, for example, they attempted a hydrofoil, which sent the guy broke. At one point, they had a hovercraft. And both these are gas guzzly beasts that are also maintenance hogs. And they sent the people who ran them broke, and they weren't really viable until they got a catamaran fast ferry, and that cuts the trip down to about 35 minutes. And now you have a viable mode of transport. You know, it can carry enough people. It can carry like several hundred people. It's not. So it wasn't until the fast ferry where you could carry like 300 people at about 25 knots that you really had a viable mode of transport. And it wasn't until you had a concrete plant, like for years they didn't even have a proper concrete plant. You couldn't build civilization. You couldn't commute from here, and so property prices were ridiculously cheap. Now, did this individual know that this was coming down the pipeline? I don't know, but there were people I know who are foolish enough not to even buy property when it was cheap, who've lived here all their life, and they're kind of screwed. But let's scale this up on a city or a regional scale with millions of people. People have an average mode of transportation with average limitations and strengths. And this essentially, and the average tolerance for how long they want to spend commuting. Remember, for most people, commuting is just dead time. They don't enjoy it. It doesn't make their life better. They don't improve their life. They're not. Doesn't reduce their all-cause mortality. So, for most people, commuting basically sucks. And what would have happened? What options are there? Well, cycling is probably the best way to commute. It's like it reduces your all-cause mortality. You enjoy it. You feel better. You're in a better mood. I can't believe more people don't, especially do cycling. Well, why is because people have an aversion to either exercise or they have an aversion, maybe because they're not carb loaded. They're probably undercarbed on the keto diet, and they don't really think. They don't really think about the opportunities. But the real opportunity is that if you have a radical mode of transportation, there are things other than just regular bicycles. You got e-bikes. So, for example, my e-bike has a 500 watt hour battery. If I'm wearing lycra and clip-on boots and have everything stripped off, my bike with no lock, my bike would do between 45 and 50 kilometers on full power, and cruising along at about 41, 42 kilometers an hour. And this is my commute to the beach. It's pretty sweet, but it's a little bit of a detour though. But I walked into the shop the other day and I saw a Scott, and it had two batteries. It had a 500 watt hour battery in the down tube, and it was 625 watt hour battery in the down tube, and a 500 watt hour battery on the rear rack. So that bike would probably easily, you'd be able to do 90 kilometers. You'd be able to do in the same conditions. You'd be able to do 100 when it was new. You'd be able to do 110, 120 kilometers on a charge, without even breaking a sweat. You could do 90 without even breaking a sweat. And with the cruise speed. Now, other options are velomobiles, for those of you who don't know what a velomobile or streamlined recumbent. A recumbent is a bike that you lie down in. And a streamlined recumbent is one which has a fairing over top, like the Lightning. Lightning make a good one. And there are various other manufacturers that make recumbents or streamlined recumbents, which is comfortable. And some of these recumbents, a lot of these recumbents these days can be fitted with electric motors. So that's the benchmark. If you have a 1,000 watt hour battery, you can ride a long way on an e-bike, just a regular upright e-bike. And the more streamlined, and velomobiles are even faster. Like they are faster than even without a motor. They are faster. And the advantage is not just that you are. The advantage is the advantage. You need to couple this with where you live and what property you buy. Because this individual, he is basically rich because he bought land when it was cheap. It's the classic saying, buy low, sell high. Now, people buy where they can, and their constraints are where they work and how they get to work. And if you want to do things in a conventional way, you're basically competing with everybody else who's also doing it in a conventional way. So, sort of my situation now is sort of like a variation of Hayabusa theory, is that this machine makes my commute viable. It's actually faster. It's faster than a car. My bike's faster than a car. I can get home faster, and because I don't have to worry about parking or getting to car parks. And I can't believe people don't take advantage of this. In the movie The Fly, the main character, Seth Brundle, he's talking to a journalist, Ronnie Quelf, and Seth Brundle was played by Jeff Goldblum, and Ronnie Quelf was played by Gina Davis. Right at the beginning, he goes, I've got a revolution in transportation technology. And Ronnie Quelf goes, yeah, everyone says that. And then he replies, yeah, but they're lying. And there's there's options. So you can get rich if you're prepared to get unorthodox. And it's not going to be a get rich quick scheme. You know, it's going to take you years. But you if you're not riding to work today, I would 100% recommend you figure out how to do that. And we live in the best age. You know, we have the internet. We can get stuff online. You can have you can buy stuff. Admittedly, you can't buy e-bikes unless you're buying through the mainstream options, because they don't like batteries being air freighted. But yeah, that's my sort of Hayabusa theory, and it's more of an abstract. You have to think of it in the abstract, and you have to adopt it to your conditions. And if you're watching this, who's watching this and isn't cycling to work? Why are you not cycling to work? Why have you not bought a bike? Like, what's up with that? Reduces your all-cause mortality by 40%. It's fun. It's enjoyable. And with modern technology, it opens up whole new capabilities. Incidentally, I wrote a book on how to commute by e-bike, and I'm writing a book on general cycling, which will have all of this options. So you look on the Amazon, if you want to commute by e-bike, check on Amazon check on my links in the description for my book. And yeah, that's there's an opportunity which is right under your noses. You know, it's a revolutionary opportunity, and it's right under your noses if you're not commuting by bike at the moment. I can understand why you wouldn't be, but it's pretty crazy if you don't take the opportunity. I know people who are basically dying because they drive to work every day. They're packed on the weight, and they're doing themselves harm. They're creating stress that they otherwise wouldn't get. And yeah, that's it. Okay, well, I better get going, because I better get to work. I'm actually doing voiceover on this, but I better get to work, and have a good day. And if you're not cycling to work, then I recommend you race down to your local bike shop. Don't buy a road bike with disc brakes, but race down to your local bike shop, or check out e-bikes, or velomobiles, or recumbents, or regular bikes if you're close. And bye-bye. I'll catch you later.